Yeah, so I was just talking about the stock flow ratio and how that over hundreds of years has determined how the hardness of kind of an asset. So basically with gold you have this growing pool of wealth, and the amount that's being added to it has been pretty constant and not increasing at like a very high rate. And we're seeing the same thing with Bitcoin, as it's gone from something that was worth like $1 million now up to a big pool of 150 billion. The amount that's actually being produced is decreasing. And as people start to use it more, and with the price being separate, that will drive the price up because it will be treated more as a rare commodity. So that's one of the things behind the Bitcoin, why it continues to increase. So it has a good stock to flow ratio. Now, for me, the other part I like about Bitcoin is that I've said I detest Federal Reserve banks because I saw what they did in 2009, collapsing the market, how the elites kind of came in, printed trillions of dollars, and rewarded the people that created the crisis in the first place. You know, the banks and everybody else that was involved. And probably see the same thing this time with all the money printing. So it really distorts the economy. So with something like Bitcoin, you get individual sovereignty as the first form of digital cash. Bitcoin first, and the most important value proposition is in giving anyone in the world access to sovereign-based money. Any person who owns Bitcoins achieves a degree of economic freedom, which not be possible before its invention. There was lots of attempts to make a digital currency in the past, but they always had a problem with the double spend issue. Because anything electronic, you can basically copy it and send it out again, like an email or something like that. So it was the Bitcoin technology that kind of resolved that through the blockchain and everything else, resolved that double spend issue. So Bitcoin holders can send large amounts of value across the planet without having to ask for the permission of anyone. Bitcoin's value is not reliant on anything physical anywhere in the world, and this can never be completely impeded, destroyed, or confiscated by any physical force of the political or criminal worlds. So it's independent of government and their manipulation. And because it's a distributed network, it's hard to shut down. Basically, there's servers all around the world, and anybody can actually download the Bitcoin blockchain onto your computer. So it's extremely diversified. And another one of the things that was faulted with gold and actually with Bitcoin is that the waste, even in gold, if it's just something that's used as a display or ornamental, is the amount of gasoline and other resources and hard assets that are used to produce the gold. And it's the same in Bitcoin. People complain about the amount of electricity used to create Bitcoin, but that's what gives it its value. It actually takes something to create it. And actually, even though that can be considered a waste, the benefits to society having something that is uncorruptible by its very nature more than offsets those costs of production. So, and the ability now to corrupt the blockchain is getting more difficult all the time, I think it would take something like 6,300 megawatts of electricity now to actually change the blockchain or corrupt the blockchain. There is some concern that a lot of the mining is done in China, and if they were all to be put under the CPP or whatever in a coordinated effort, they might be able to actually, at some point maybe be able to corrupt the blockchain. But I don't think that will happen. Hopefully mining does pick up around the world outside of China. And another thing that's nice if it does, and this would be a long time from now, but as an investor, when I buy a company that sells internationally, an international company, one of the biggest headaches is dealing with the local currencies. So there's all this FX trading, right? There's a derivative market in the trillions. If I'm selling to China or if I'm selling to the euro, then if I'm a Canadian company, I got to worry about what's the euro going to be worth in a year. And if you don't hedge properly, and you only have a 10% profit margin, your profits can be wiped out by the change in the currency. And that's one thing that Bitcoin, if it became a global standard, then everything could be traded in Bitcoin, and you wouldn't need all this whole derivatives market and everything else. It would just become a standard that could be used internationally, and would make it a lot easier for companies to operate internationally without all the risks associated with changing currencies. So I'll just read that here. It's basically if it ever became a global unit of account, the final application of Bitcoin is not one that is likely to materialize anytime soon, like I said, but nonetheless intriguing given Bitcoin's unique properties. Since the end of the gold standard area, global trade has been hampered by the difference in currency values across different countries. This destroyed people's ability to conduct indirect exchange using single medium of exchange, and instead create a world where buying something across borders has to be preceded by buying the currency of that producer, almost mimicking barter. This has severely hampered people's ability to conduct economic calculations across borders and resulted in the growth of massive foreign exchange industry. The industry produces little value, but as a terrible consequence of the monetary system that we have today, or the fiat currency system. So that's kind of another bit. And as far as the processing power now for the Bitcoin, to say there's nothing behind it, like I was talking about, the rewards to nodes for verifying transaction has proven to be profitable use of processing power. In January 2017, the processing power behind Bitcoin network is equivalent to that 2 trillion consumer laptops. It is more than 2 million times larger than the processing power of the world's largest supercomputer and more than 200,000 times greater than the world's top 500 supercomputers combined. So by monetizing processing power directly, Bitcoin has become the largest single-purpose computer network in the world. So we see now that argument, there's nothing behind backing Bitcoin, is kind of a full statement. And Bitcoin, I think, will become more of a store of wealth because the number of trades you can do on it is nothing like Visa and probably never will be. They want to keep the actual blockchain relatively small so that it can go on computers around the world and stay very largely distributed, unlike Visa, which is located in one central location and not distributed, but that has lots of security layers to prevent people getting into it. Visa then will probably continue for most payments. So people will convert their Bitcoin into Canadian dollars or US dollars, and then continue on like they have in the past. An example of that is Visa can process around 3,200 transactions per second, or 100.8 billion transactions per year. Bitcoin's current 1 megabyte block are able to process a maximum of 4 transactions per second. So we can see there's just a huge difference in that. So Bitcoin will not become like dollars in your wallet or replace your Visa. It's going to be more of a gold that will hopefully continue to increase in value, and then you will gain that by converting it into your own currency and spending it. So I think that's all I had. Yeah, as far as Bitcoin and why I think it's maybe here to stay. And that'll be it for this week, and I'll try to get something out for next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.